BeastNet podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
All right, everybody, it's Mike here with BeastNet, and on this episode, we've got some crazy ladies who just finished the team assessment. So, our family, Virginia and Casey, how are you guys doing?
Hanging in there.
Better than we were a few days ago.
Yeah. Well, I bet. I mean, for those that don't know, let people know what is team assessment.
Yeah, so it's based off Special Forces assessment and selection. It's the second part, and it's basically the team part where you're actually put into a team. And in this case, you choose your team, and it's 48 hours, undisclosed number of evolutions you'll go through, undisclosed full-time limit. For the women, it was 20 pounds dry we were carrying, plus water and food, so like 35 pounds total. And basically, we go for about 48 hours and don't really sleep, carry a lot of heavy stuff.
Great.
What did I miss? So yeah, and this was the big thing for us. This was the first year of a women's division. This is the second year it's been run and the first year of a women's division.
Well, I think from what I saw, didn't they said there was more women that finished than men, wasn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. We had 10 teams of men, or open division. We actually had one woman in the open division who she's just a badass herself. 10 teams, and then we had 8 women's teams. And when we finished, we had 2 open teams and 7 women's teams finish.
That's awesome. That is amazing. So how did you guys feel going into it? I mean, I know Virginia, I mean, we've spent some time together. We've done some of this crazy stuff together. I mean, my longest, time is 42, or longest mileage is 42 miles that you were with me. And rucking the whole thing. No, I didn't. You did. I wasn't that crazy. But what did you do to prepare for this? I mean, yeah, I just can't imagine.
I think the preparation for both of us was involved not only physical training and building up your strength and your endurance, but also going to the chiropractor weekly, bi-weekly, going to get sports massages, and doing the active release therapy we both did, really sticking to our nutrition plans and leaning down, and just, I think when we got there, when I finally got off the plane and gave Virginia like a gigantic hug, it was just a sense of calm and that my body was ready.
Yeah. Now, one question is.
So we went through. Yeah, go ahead.
Casey, you don't live in the Northwest, do you?
No, I live in Dallas, Texas.
So that's the other part that I think a lot of people aren't getting. I think most of these people that go as teams, they're training as teams. So you two don't get that option because you're in Dallas, you're in the Seattle area. So, I mean, it kind of makes it a little different.
And I think when people ask me who my teammate was, and they would say, oh, you're not training together? Oh, we were training together. We were on the same training plan. We were messaging each other all day long from 5 a.m. Texas time till evening about training, sending each other videos. Virginia would do a lot of like demonstration videos for things that her trainer would share with her. So we did train together, just not physically in the same space, but following the same plans and just staying mentally and emotionally in sync.
And I think we were the only team to do that this year. Every other team there, I think from talking to people, is that, you know, they had that time to train together. They had, you know, meetups every so often. The first time we even physically met was at the airport Tuesday night.
Which is, I mean, amazing. I mean, it shows just the dedication that both of you have. And I mean, it's one of those things, I think that's going to become more and more common now, especially with all of this, the COVID fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I have a trainer, and I mean, she's a friend, and we see each other occasionally, but most of the stuff I do with my trainer is online. So
Right.
we talk online, it's all through apps, going back and forth, trying to get me into better shape. So, yeah.
Well, and, you know, Mike, you've met the trainer I've been working with for a long time. And, you know, he was, by the end of it, he was working with both of us because he could tell the strengths and weaknesses we both had. And so he would write stuff and he'd say, all right, you know, Casey, you're going to do the 60-pound bag on this. Virginia, you're going to do the 80, or we would switch some things up with what we had. And so that really did benefit us in the end, is to have kind of that single point towards there to just work on little stuff.
What made you guys decide to do this, and how did you guys meet? I mean, like you said, you didn't meet in person for the first time until, you know, you got to the airport. How did you guys meet? And I mean, it's one of those things that usually, you know, when you pick that partner, because a lot of stuff I do, I mean, you know, Dawn, I do most of my stuff, but me and Dawn, we met in preschool. So we've known each other a little while. But, you know, and it's kind of those, like with you guys, it's one of those to do something. And I mean, team assessment isn't something you go into lightly. I mean, that's a challenge. That's a challenge.
Right.
You know, like you said, how many people started and how many finished? I mean, that was, you know, it didn't seem like, what, more than half didn't finish, it seemed like. So, I mean, it's not something you go into lightly. How did you guys just decide to be partners, even though you're so far apart?
We're both part of a Facebook group called Badass Babes, and it's mostly just women of GORUCK. And I guess our paths crossed posting about
We were getting ready for
11 HTL. We started messaging each other back and forth, you know, and just talking about life and our kids. We just had a lot of common ground. And I think the thing that drew me to Virginia was that she had this all-in attitude that once she had a goal, she was going to stick with it, and she wasn't going to give up.
I get that.
Mike knows me a little bit too well.
I know Virginia well enough to know that's pretty much her thing. I mean, I don't know if you know, the first time me and Virginia met was a Spartan Hurricane Heat, which was the first one she'd ever done, never done any Spartan event. She just shows up for a Hurricane Heat. And I mean, really, I think my first words to her were, "I'm about to get naked, don't look." I mean, it was just kind of, you know, it was, you know, you're getting ready. You know, all shame is out the window when you try to get ready to parking lot. So.
Oh yeah.
But and she's every time I met, it's all go go go. So.
And so I had just done the D-Day HTL, and there was a lot of posting about getting ready for the 9/11. And so Casey and I started talking because I was like, all right, hey, here's what worked for me in the past. You know, here's what might work for you. And then after the HTLs, of course, we start checking in on each other. You know, I remember after I was like in the car and conscious again, I looked and I was like trying to see, like, did she make it? Did she make it? Because HTLs are horrible in their own right. And then I think it was about October, the date for team assessment was posted, and they officially announced the women's division. And one day Casey posted something saying, you know, this looks fun. And I kind of want to do it, but I can't find a partner, and I don't know anybody who would do it with me. And I remember I messaged her and I'm like, would you consider having me as a partner for this? And it was just like, I think it was a yes and like a dozen exclamation points. And that's literally how it started, was just, okay, we're going to do this. So we signed up. Yeah, I was prepared to give up Montana for this because it was going to be originally around Montana time for the Spartan. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And so shortly after that, we settled on our first training plan and started working through that from that point on.
See, that's awesome. I mean, and like you said, with knowing Virginia, I mean, I've been with her in Montana when she was on crutches with a broken ankle, doing a Spartan beast. I mean, who does a beast in a boot?
You do too.
Well, I know, but I mean, I didn't say I was smart, but I did Hawaii in a boot. I know, but I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, she doesn't understand the word no. I mean, she doesn't understand the word quit. I mean, once she puts her mind to something, she does it. And that's one of the things that I love about Virginia. She's awesome like that. So.
Absolutely.
But see, Casey's the same way too. It's like when we start talking about this and we start talking about training, you have to remember, since you're not training together, you don't really have that interaction. And so sometimes I would post videos or I'd send her videos, go, I hate all of this bleeping stuff right now. I don't want to do this anymore. I just wish it was over. So yeah, there are times we both wanted to quit in training, and we just kind of vent. And I think there is a certain amount of just understanding that that's going to happen. And I think because that did happen early on, later during the event that helped, because we both hit some pretty low points that second night. So.
I could imagine that. It's kind of one of those things, like I said, I mean, you know, me and Dawn, we have our relationship and our friendship. And when I first started on my weight loss journey, it was the two of us together. And then he's kind of, you know, because of life, nothing against anything going on with him, just life has stepped in the way. So he stepped back a little bit, and I just kind of had to be like, well, I still want to do this, and I'm going to keep going on my own. And, you know, I'm looking at things, like I said, I showed you the battle miles things, which stupid me signs up for the monthly challenge. The first one is 1 mile longer than your longest mile. And I'm like, well, the last one, 42 miles, my hip basically dislocated. So, well, let's see if I can do 43. It says I can wear a vest if I want, so I'm probably gonna do that because, well, I'm dumb. But I mean, that's stuff, you know, watching you when we did those long ones, carrying weight because you wanted that extra challenge, and that's one of the things that inspires me, watching you do that stuff.
And part of that too, I mean, we talked about this during this. We would do longer rucks, 20, 30 miles at times, because that was to us considered training. Yeah, I know, Casey, you did a few where it was like 10, 12 miles, like back to back weeks. And so we were both putting in the same number of miles. It was just how we were doing them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And just training, like you talked about, training around life. I mean, as much as this can consume your life, it's trying to find that balance.
And that is so true.
So
one of the things I'm fighting right now with, moving, and then the fires right around the house and all that fun stuff. And I was, June, I think I did about 175 miles in the month of June. And right now I'm like, if I don't pick up some pace, I'm not going to hit 100 this month. So, and I've been doing at least a mile a day, but that's on many days it's been just, so I need to pick up my training. But
does your business need first aid, AED, OSHA, flagging, or other safety training? James Safety Services is your one-stop shop. Find them on Facebook today at James Safety Services WA and ask for a quote on hosting your training needs.
How hard was it? I mean, I know you said that mentally you both had, times during that second night that you wanted to give up. And I think one of the biggest things is, and I know I'll say this about Virginia, no offense, you sometimes make things sound like they're easier than they really are. So you're not great at making it sound like things are as hard as what you really went through. You're just like, yeah, it sucked. We're like other people, like I wanted to die, everything was bad. It was all bad, but you just kind of like, yeah, it sucked. So how was it really? I mean, like you said, you both hit low points during that second night, but how bad was this? I mean, what was the stuff they put you through that they made you do, that you signed up to do and probably paid for? But
I think one of the first big things that kind of pushed me past, well, I guess being uncomfortable, but extra uncomfortable was doing a mile as the wheelbarrow, and I was the wheelbarrow.
Oh gosh.
And
Oh,
going down
mile?
an extremely,
Yes.
extremely steep hill, and that's not my forte, but that was hard. And just having to get into a rhythm of going our speed and not letting
Mm-hmm.
the other teams get to us because they're faster. You know, we go like 20, I'd go 20 paces, and then we'd stop, and then take a couple seconds, do maybe 30, and then stop. And then I think we were taking too long, and they decided to choose something different.
Yeah. So as far as, you know, how it's, I mean, so the idea is to put you under stress from the get-go. And so you get there, and immediately you start doing these ruck dumps and packs. And if you're not fast enough, you've got cadre yelling at you, you know, faster, like, what was it? Violence in a sense of urgency or whatever Jason was yelling at us repeatedly. So they immediately will start to put you under stress. And then you have what's called the welcome party, which they basically try and smoke you for the first. I think somebody else was telling me that was we did the welcome party for 7 hours.
Holy shit!
That's what one of the other guys was telling me that we both know. 7 hours. Yeah, that was to start.
So much I can do for 7 hours. I mean, I've for 7 hours, but I wanted to curl up in a ball and die.
So we were doing bear crawl drags. We were doing lunges up and down the field. We were doing a deck of cards workout where we got our first strike. We were doing lunges up and down the field while the other partner did 60-pound sandbag clean and thrust, our thrusters. Yeah, that was, plus we had a mile with a 60-pound bag thrown in there somewhere.
You should be fine. We didn't.
So yeah, that would pair that
one day.
But and the entire time, like, I felt strong going into it, and my quads were blown out in 8 hours. And the only thing we're sitting there going, like, how in the world are we going to finish this when my legs are, like, they're hurting so bad now?
Well, yeah, when your legs are blown out, you said in 8 hours, and the event's 48. So you're like, okay, in the first 8, I've already blown out my legs, and now I've got another 40 to go. Which, from the cadre standpoint, is kind of the way to go. You know, I mean, burn them out early, you know, and not sound bad, but weed some people out.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you're asking about how hard this really was. I don't think I've sugarcoated any of the training getting ready for this. I don't think Casey and I have ever really pulled back on this, but this was ridiculously hard. I think more for us on the second 24-hour part than the first 24.
Yikes. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's one of those things, because it really sounds like, honestly, if you're already burnt out, they're burning out your legs in the first 8 hours. It's pretty much at that point it becomes mental. Because now you're already burnt out. So at that point, it's all mental. And I mean, we know your mental fortitude. You don't understand the words quit. So, and I'm guessing, Casey, if you're working with Virginia, then you probably have about the same thought. That it's pretty much, I know Virginia, if she's going to be taken off that course, they're going to drag her off that course kicking and screaming.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we actually had that conversation, Mike. We actually had that conversation going into it to say, look, we're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, but we're going to push until you take us off.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much we got yelled at, you know, towards the end, Casey was really struggling. And so I just looked at him like, I'm like, ignore them. Just ignore them. Because all they're doing is trying to get in your head. They know that we're 40 hours into this, and all they want to do is mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes that mental battle to say, yeah, don't. But this was seriously, this is no joke. And
it doesn't sound like it.
No, I knew.
at all. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like a joke at all. So,
So it was after 24 hours that we got our first actual food break. Other than that, we could snack a little bit, but we didn't have much time. So we had our first like MREs at 24 hours.
Wow.
And a nap.
and I'm guessing it wasn't on long. So,
I think we got maybe an hour and a half.
Really?
I think it was like an hour and a half, maybe.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It's a blur. I just know we made it to that point,
now,
and it was nice outside.
is this one of those things too? I mean, not to sound bad, that you sit there like looking at your watch going, how much time do we have left? Or are you just so smoked, you're just keep going until they're like, yeah, we're done.
That's the other part. No watches allowed.
Okay, that makes sense then.
I'd tell Virginia, like, what time do you think it is? If she'd look at the sun, be like, I think it's around noon. She was my Girl Scout, so.
No, so that would be tough.
Well, especially during the day, that was kind of the easy way to tell where we're at.
Right.
It was the second night that's where it did me in.
Yeah.
I mean, perfectly honest, and Casey and I have talked about this already, is that second night, one team did try and quit, but the cadre talked them out of it. But it was like that night would just never end.
Yes.
We could never see the sun, it felt like, and it dropped to it was like 35 degrees that night. We weren't really prepared for it. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
If we're dragging who knows how much it weighed rogue leader with a 60
gosh,
bag on it.
that was the God, that thing can die.
Yeah.
So Mike, we started out for a 12-mile ruck, which we were told you have 3.5 hours. Or let me just show you. So if you can see, we have slash marks. These are performance failures. The slash marks mean performance. 3 and you're out. And we already had 1 from the deck of cards. And, we were just going. But we got 8 miles in 3.5 hours, and they said, all right, you failed. Here's your second slash. And we were pushing for a long time. But at some point during that 12-mile, we started hallucinating. Casey was sure she saw snakes. I saw worms in the grass. We saw graffiti somewhere painted.
Groups of people.
Groups of people in the soybean field. Yeah. Your mind does really crazy things at like that 38-hour mark or whatever it was. So yeah, that was. And then they had us going from that into these litter carries with a sandbag on them. And we were told to do 3 laps. We got 1, and then they're like, yeah, you're done.
I think they decided it was not a smart idea.
No, it was not.
It wasn't just us. It was, I think, 4 or 5 other teams that didn't get that many laps either.
Well, there were 2 teams behind us, I remember, too, on that.
Right.
Because we kept looking behind us going, why have they not called us by now? And yeah.
That just sounds horrible.
It was horrible.
And see, it's tough for me sometimes because I've done a couple of the hurricane heats. I did the one with Virginia, and I did one other one, and it just wasn't it's not something I enjoyed. So I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. The rucking, I actually like the rucking. I do like the rucking so far. It's something that I've been thinking about looking into more of the GORUCK stuff. For me, it's been the vest. I throw on a vest and I'll go whatever. That's why I do like a lot of I mentioned the battle miles earlier. They have a lot of challenges like that where you put on a vest and go do whatever. One of theirs was like 6 miles with a mask and a vest. That sucked. It was like 25 miles and you had to have it. They said a gas mask or an altitude mask. So I had the altitude mask, and I'm like, this is worse than anything I've ever done. I mean, you couldn't breathe and trying to, yeah. So I mean, but those kind of challenges to me are good. I think the problem I have with a lot of like the hurricane heats and stuff, I don't like people yelling at me. People yelling at me, telling me to do things, I'm gonna punch them and throw stuff at them. So I'm just not good at that part. The rest of it, I'm fine. But you start yelling at me and like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not good at authority.
And I think the cadre in this one started out extremely tough with us. And then as the time went on, they were still tough, but not to that same level, because I don't think that you can expect, in certain cases, the same workload after 30 plus hours work.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, you can't. I mean,
yeah, we got, I think the other worst part of that were what were they called? The buckets. Water babies.
Yes.
The water baby carries. So if you see the pictures we post, there's this massive hill that goes down into a river. And it's a quarter mile from the top of the hill to the river. So you would have to fill up buckets like they have a Spartan to a certain line of water or more. And you had to make it a quarter mile up a hill and still have it at or above that line of water.
Yeah. We also did a few laps around the field. They did several different things.
Oh yeah, we did that too. Yeah.
And the water bucket, slosh pipe, and
someday it might be one of those things I decide to do. I mean, now that I'm back into better shape again, I might go for more of that stuff. Because my problem a lot of times with the hurricane heats, I was the last guy because I was a fat bastard. So I was usually one of the last ones.
But we've talked about,
I was the guy holding everyone back. So, yeah.
But Mike, I've talked about getting you into the light too.
Yes.
Because and we're gonna do it one of these days. But yeah.
I need to do one. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, now that I still have that fear I'm gonna be the weakest link, but I know it's less of a chance of the weakest link because when you're 285 and 195. It's a big difference. So, I mean, I need to work on my strength though. That's my biggest problem. I've been running a lot and just running and running and running, and my strength isn't where it should be. But that'll be tested this weekend when I go do the Rise event. All those, so
that's pretty fun.
So we'll see how my strength is, but I know it's not where it should be. I mean, it's I've lost all the weight, but need to lose a little bit more and gain some muscle back. So.
Yeah.
But see, Mike, what you're talking about is the same thing that Casey and I would face in any event we do in GORUCK is you don't want to be the weakest link.
Yeah.
And up until I think recently, the women of GORUCK, you're automatically looked at as, oh, well, you can't do as much as some of the guys, or, oh, you're not as strong as they are, or, you can't hold your weight. But I mean, I think this event really did prove, though, that we're a lot stronger than what a lot of people give us credit for.
Oh yeah.
So
it's like one of those things. I mean, I run with Serena all the time on a lot of the races, and when we'd come up to things and they'd have the woman's weight and the men's weight, she'd look at it and say, heavy or light? I'm going heavy. So she wouldn't even look at it as women and men. It's the heavy version or the light version. And she's like, yeah, I want the heavy version. People be like, well, the women's are over there. And she's like, no, the light one's over there. I want the heavy ones. And that's the way some people look at it. Other people, it's women and men. I know women that could outperform me on a course every day of the week. So, I mean, I don't know how people can look at women and think they're going to be the weaker ones. So
yeah, I think it was after we had our second break. And then something at the end, and I swear, I think, Casey, I'm pretty sure you want to shoot me about this point. We were told, all right, here's your culminating exercise. Like, this is your last push. And I watched that again today from the live feeds, and I'm like, something got up something just spurred me, because I was like on fire at that point. And I remember Casey a couple times looking at me going like, she's like, dear God, will you just stop at that point? But, it was kind of, we knew we were into a last push.
Yeah.
And I was far more motivated than I thought I was ever going to be at that point, to just get it done. And that last push was no joke. And we fought for everything we could. But, you know, it just, they tested you. I mean, like, they knew how to, we had to drag 80-pound sandbags from the top of the hill, you know, basically a half mile. You had to move two 80-pound sandbags.
So that sounds like nice and easy thing to do.
And then,
No. One
and then we had to go build. Yeah, go ahead.
One of our friends did a spreadsheet on like the first 24 hours, all the different things we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She'd like to do it next year. So like looking at a training perspective, what kind of things to prepare for, but just like looking at the list of all the things we did and how far we went, it was kind of like, shit, I did that? Really?
Yeah, because it's a blur right now from what we did.
It's got to be scary. I mean, that's one of the things that I would think, though. I mean, you know, really I think it'd be training the movements, because I mean, it's one of those things you can't really believe that team assessment's going to be the same next year as it was this year.
Oh, no.
They're going to throw new things in there, new challenges. That was the one thing, like the hurricane heats I was heard. And I know I keep going to hurricane heats because that's what I know. But, you know, those kind of events is because they were always different. You used terrain, you found different, you know, different tools to have, stuff like that to have with you. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine what, you know, it would be like next year. I think it'd be just training for what movements you hope you would be ready for. So,
right.
And that's kind of the, you know, I just.
Probably my advice would be carrying different types of weights. Like, I don't think we did much with the water buckets and slosh pipes and
those slosh pipes
leakers and odd shaped things, not just, I know we did
armor's carries,
handbag workouts. Yeah.
And so I want to find some of those. It's like, I mean, you know, Brian Case, he did one. We did, I can't remember what event it was. It was some event that Green Beret Challenge. And we had to have, you know, a carry, and he made a slosh pipe with 2 20-pound sandbags hanging one from each side. So you had to carry it with the slosh pipe. So you had the slosh pipe on your back and carrying it, and you're sitting there, but then it kept sloshing back and forth, and it was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Right. And then he did another one where it was a 2x4 with cinder block hanging from each side. But the 2x4 had to have been 8 feet long. So, and you had those hanging, and they were hanging probably 3 or 4 feet. So they were actually enough that they were hitting the ground and bouncing, and it just made that swing, and it changes the carry. Where you're okay with carrying that weight until all of a sudden it's swinging, or you got the slosh pipe. There's some of those things that we don't think about until someone throws them at us. But like you're saying with the bucket and it's sloshing back and forth.
And also strategy. Virginia was really good with that. I think that's the engineer in her. But like we had to carry the slosh pipe and then the water bucket. So she figured out we could leapfrog. So we would move the water bucket up, set it down, come back to the slosh pipe, move it a little bit further, set it down, and keep repeating that. And then we did that again when we had to carry 2 water buckets. So we're not both gassed carrying a super heavy water bucket up the hill. We're just kind of leapfrogging.
Well,
and we weren't losing. Yeah, we weren't losing water.
Yeah.
Because you
don't want to get.
You had to hold that. Yeah. Well, yeah. And until the cadre was spraying us with water, and it didn't really matter at that point.
Yeah, and laughing. Here, Cadre Cleve's gonna help you.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Say, oh, the water's going in the bucket. See?
So it's helping you. That's good. See, I just think of the movie Out Cold, where they had the whole thing with the snowboards, and you had to end at the bottom of the hill with your cup still full of beer. So the one guy basically just took the drink of beer, went all the way down the hill, and slapped it in his mouth. So when he finished, he just spread it back into the cup.
Yep.
That's one of the things I see Virginia and her engineer mind going, hey, you know, she's not like, hey, we'll just drink all the water and pee at the end. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
no, I'm not
doing a loop.
I'll say, let's just say that we had our ways of making sure that that bucket was filled to the line. And I don't think we need to go into that.
All right.
But we definitely, we figured out a way
I hit that, maybe I
without,
hit the nail on the head on that one.
no, it wasn't that, but it was something easy enough that we could ensure our success to a certain
And that's
degree.
what it's about. I mean, a lot of times, it's, you know, it's an old saying,
Yeah.
you know, work smarter, not harder. So, and having an engineer with you, that's what an engineer's job is, to figure out how to make things smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, there also were times where, you know, I could tell that one of us was going to get overwhelmed, and it was just like, all right, let's just break this down. Like, what's really going to happen here? All right, are they really that crazy pissed off at us right now, or is this just a mind game? It was just the emotional game. And so I think being able to talk to each other and break that down step at a time and just say, okay, here's the task. It's frustrating, but let's just approach it this way and move on.
We spent a lot
So,
of
yeah.
time looking at that leader, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that litter. Just,
Methods. Some people brought ropes or strap holds, but I don't think that was any easier or better.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
I think
it comes down to partners. I mean, it's one of those things. I've seen two people, the strongest people that you could think these people are going to destroy this, but then they don't work well as a team, and it just falls apart. Now you see two people that you're like, yeah, I don't know if they're going to do this, but they work so well as a team that they end up doing it. So, and I think that's, you know, from listening to you two talk and then go back and forth. I mean, you two seem like the perfect partners.
Oh, absolutely. It shows
and the
that-
thing too was
I was going to say,
yeah, I mean, it really did show too, because
go ahead.
you cut out there at the end.
I was going to say, it shows you don't have to live in the same area to be extremely close
Oh, yeah.
friends and training partners and in the same mindset.
Just got to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Well, and I
honest.
think going into it too, oh yeah, be honest, but
Yep.
I had already talked, I had been studying the previous year's team assessment and going, okay, the first 24 hours is physical. The second 24 is mental.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we hit that, I kept telling Casey, I'm like, let's get to the 24-hour mark. Let's just get to that 24-hour mark. And then, you know, once we got to that, we were able to reassess, eat, and kind of mentally prepare, or at least attempt to mentally prepare for that next 24
Right.
to hit. But
She's watching the
yeah,
selection
it's
movie on the airplane, and I'm like, I don't want to even think about that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think for me, I think I should definitely look into doing a light at least with Virginia. Maybe, you know, maybe.
December.
You got to lose the mindset of the weakest link. I have a friend who's doing
Yeah.
a double or triple tough. I don't know what it is. And he was worried about being the weakest link. And I was like, it's a team event. You've got to lose that thought.
I think for me, it's one of those things, like I said, for me, it was, I mean, Virginia knows I ballooned in weight. I was 285 pounds in
I
February.
think that's different. And I know that I've been in an event where there was an obese girl in the group. And to me, it was more of a health risk.
Yeah.
It was extremely hot in Texas, and she got it further behind, and a cadre stayed with her. We had to stop so she could kind of get back. And I couldn't believe they didn't med drop her. It just wasn't physically safe.
And see, for me, it was one of those things. It's just like I just don't want to be the person that just holds everyone back, you know, and feel like that they're not getting the event they should be because I'm holding people back. You know, now that I'm in better shape, I think that'd be less likely. But you know, I
Right.
definitely think, you know, she's saying December. My birthday's in December. Maybe that's what I should do for my birthday as a celebration. But
So is mine. So
we'll think about it.
Hey, I've almost talked Chris into it.
Chris is crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, and so are you, so it's all good.
Yeah, so
There's a light in Tacoma, so it's all good.
I'll probably end up doing it. Yeah. The other thing I'm
Yeah, I'm
looking at is
probably
there's in October there's one. I think I posted it to the group, a virtual like um, pride
yep,
run that I think we should all do as a
yep,
tribute to
5 or 10.
all of our friends and other people that we know. So
Yep,
yeah. Oh,
but yeah.
my thing thinks I'm talking to it. Sorry. My iPad suddenly
You
thinks
get,
I'm
let's see.
talking.
Siri thinks you're talking to her.
Alive. Johnny Five's alive.
Yeah, kidding. Five's alive. So it's really weird when it does that too. It's like over there not doing anything, like all of a sudden it thinks I'm talking to it. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. No, but Mike, we should get you out for that light for sure.
We should. I think I should do it. Like I said, I want to do more. This year's been really tough for me, I think, because we had no events. So, but it's
Well,
been
yeah.
really good because I do have, family like Virginia and Chris and everyone else, and we do events together, socially distanced, of course. But so, and do stuff together to keep us going.
Right.
Because normally by this time I would have done, what, 15 mud runs by this time of the year, and
Really?
I've done one this whole year, and that was like 2 weekends ago. So
Yeah, and you're up by me, and I couldn't get out to go out there.
I know it was a blast too. I want to see the video of because they had this really cool thing. Apparently, I'm not good on the trampoline because I could not get a good bounce to be able to reach up and like get to the monkey bars. It was just me going in the water.
Yeah.
Sunglasses lost again. So it seems to be at least I still got that going for me. I lose my sunglasses in the water everywhere. But
Yep.
so yeah, well it's been is there anything else you want to tell anyone while we're on here? We're getting close to the hour and Dawn yells at me because I go an hour all the time.
So Index was pretty special when we finished.
Absolutely.
They had us stand up and our eyes were closed. We didn't see what was going on. And everybody was just hugging at that point. I mean, it was pretty special. And really, I think for me, and I think Casey and I were on the same page with this, it was pretty special for us to be part of the first female division.
Yeah.
We had to do these videos of our why going into it and talk about why we were doing this. And if your why wasn't strong enough, you weren't going to finish. And by the end of it, you can see, like on the replays, it's everybody out there is in tears. And the women, it was so impressive for all of us women with this yellow patch, no matter how many strikes we had, 1 or 2, to stand there as that first female class and prove to women of all ages. I mean, I turned 40th in the year. Casey's in her 40s. We had some younger, some into their 50s. It doesn't matter. Apply yourself to a goal and just go after it. So.
Casey,
yeah.
Anything else?
I totally agree. That Index moment, I knew that the patch was coming, and just his words. Mocha Mike was doing a speech, and I had to go back and listen to it later. But just talking about team, and you've gone through all this together and proved that you're a team, and just that overwhelming sense of we did it, we made it to a goal that we could have never imagined accomplishing. And just, Virginia, is this whole experience, we were close, but I think it's made us almost like sisters, and hopefully we'll be able to plan more events, and I can come up there and visit. My daughter's in college, so I don't have the whole kid thing to worry about. But it was just a bonding experience, and I think bonded us with all the finishers. You know, we started a team assessment finisher group and just, you know, checking in. And the funny things like everything hurts, or I can't sleep because I roll over and I hurt.
Or I can't go downstairs.
Or
Stairs
yeah,
are not
or
fun yet.
one of the girls is a physical therapist at
Yep.
a hospital. She's saying that her patient was getting up the stairs faster than her.
Okay. Well, and two, I mean,
Work hard.
you know, and on a personal note, I mean, a lot of people have met. I mean, Mike, you obviously know Elliot really well.
Yeah.
And Maddie, and it was really important for me to go out and just, it's like I told Jason McCarthy at the end, I want to show a strong role model to them. And I think we did that. I think that we certainly proved that. And I think too, when we were doing the post interview with Jason, when we told Jason that we had not met until 2 days prior in person, his jaw just dropped.
Because he saw how well we were working together. He said we were workhorses and we just wouldn't give up and just kept going.
But Jason, he was so shocked. He's like, you are one of the few teams I've ever seen do this. So it was pretty awesome. But all awesome. That for that patch.
Well, and you say that, but this is one thing that, you know, I've said on a couple episodes, you know, that I've recorded recently is it's not always about that. What it's about is everything that we've talked about here. It's the connection that you and Casey have now. It's the connection of all the memories. You know, it's one of those things that's, if you somehow lost all of those, they can't take your memories.
Yeah, and we'll be 80 years old in our rocking chairs talking about 2020 and what a shitty year it was and how we did this incredibly hard thing together.
And I'm proud of both of you.
Thank you.
I mean, that's amazing.
Thanks,
I mean,
Mike.
I posted to Virginia, you know, on her Facebook page that I was thinking about it. I wasn't sure how to do the whole, like, log in and do the live things, but I knew what she was doing. And I'm not good sometimes with the technology stuff. That's why, you know, I have a studio upstairs that I'm not recording in because the kid knows how to do it and I can't figure it out. So. Well, it's a nice studio.
Well, and two, I guess, and I guess Casey and I really need to also thank everybody who was checking in on us. Because, you know, Mike, I had messages from you. There were constant posts in our travel squad group of how they were stalking us on the live feeds. My husband was stalking us. My trainer, Barrett.
Well, that'll be stalking.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure like how much he was going to watch. Because I mean, think about somebody you love going through this. How hard is that going to be to watch?
Not sound bad. He's married to you. He should be used to
it. Yeah, but he's never had firsthand watching of it. That's for sure. But no, it's just like the text that we had, you know, I had personally from the trainer we've been working with is you could just tell the excitement. And what the travel squad groups told us today was we have not had a team member in one of these premier events in a very long time. And like, you guys did us proud, and just to see it was overwhelming. So for all of you guys who were cheering us on, you know, constant check-ins, we really appreciate it. We're still taking it all in, I think, right now.
Yes, it's overwhelming. You know, when we got in the car and turned our phones back on, all the messages like, oh my God, you did it, I saw you. And then going back through the live feeds and seeing people's comments and people's posting on our timelines, congratulations, and just people checking in even almost a week later, how are you feeling? And it's just, I mean, I'm not like a rock star athlete, so this is all new to me.
Yep.
But you did it. I mean, you went through something tough. I mean, you were part of the first, you know, women division of team assessment, and you guys crushed it. You killed it.
So
You finished.
we had 100 women sign up, 18 show up, and 16 finish.
That's awesome.
So that's something that, you know, I'm not going to play down at all. That was a major accomplishment.
That is a huge accomplishment.
And yeah.
I mean, of course, you know,
But
I'm checking up on you because, I mean, I'm just now meeting you, Casey, but Virginia's family, which makes you family now. So sorry you're stuck with us. But yeah,
no, and
Virginia's
Mike, we appreciate what you guys are doing, BeastNet. Yeah, I saw the post when we got back too, and it was just, as I said, it's overwhelming right now.
Oh, I bet.
There's gonna be a lot more. There's gonna be a lot more stories to tell. I think we've almost got our after action report due. I think overall though, I think we're just grateful to have be able to be a part of this in such an insane year.
Yeah.
I think we both, when Jason was talking to us after, is just, you know, thank you for this opportunity, and his wife was a big push to get this for us, and just, you know, thanking them for giving this to us, because it's like, it's an experience that we'll have for the rest of our lives, and taught us so many lessons about who we are and what we're capable of.
Oh yeah.
You guys did amazing. So I'm like I said, I'm proud of both of you. You guys did a great job, and especially knowing, you know, like you said, you guys hadn't met in person until like the day of. So, which is insanity to think that you guys trained virtually, everything worked as a team so well virtually that you were able to put this together and, you know, to finish this event. You know, like you said, 100 women signed up, 18 showed up, 16 finished, and
Right.
you two were part of those 16. So, and that's amazing to me. I mean, I have no words, no more words. I mean, I am so proud of both of you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh yeah.
And Mike, we're gonna get you out on a light, you and Chris.
Yeah, I need to get out on one. I need to get some more challenges. So, like I said, I've been trying to think of new challenges. I've got the battle miles, which are trying to kill me. So I've got to figure out when I'm going to do that.
Come on. You did Battle Miles 1. That was one of the harder ones.
That was 1 mile. I've got to do 1 mile farther than I've gone before. So I've got to do the 43 miles. So me and Brian were already talking about doing the death race, which is 31 miles with a whole bunch of workouts going down the side of the mountain. So at that point, I'm like, why don't we just kick it up to 43 and, you know, we finish death race on the way to finishing this too, because, well, we're done. But
Well, if I'm recovered enough in time, I'll do it with you.
Oh yeah, it's a new challenge. It's a way to push myself. I mean, I feel if I don't keep pushing myself, I'm worried that I'll go back to the 200 because I've done this before where I've dropped all the weight. And then, you know, because of injury, I went back up to the 285 and I don't want to go back there again. So I want to stay down here where I'm at. So
Right.
stay healthy. So
I understand.
So I got to keep challenging myself and just keep going. So we'll get there. Well,
Oh yeah.
thank you both
You'll get
for
there.
talking with me.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else you have for everyone, I mean, is there anything you want to say in closing? Or did you?
Just get out there and do it. Don't be afraid of being the weak link. Don't be afraid of being the smallest. Try it. Honestly, too, and I've said this in previous podcasts, reach out to one of us. If you're thinking about an event, you're thinking more about rooking, reach out. Either of us will answer any of your questions about the event, you know, training up to the event, what it takes, or it will refer you to the people who kind of helped us along the way too. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Just go ahead and do it.
Casey, anything else?
No, just do it. And once you get it done and you're done, it's just a sense of high that you can't explain. And I know through mud runs and in your hurricane heats, you probably had that feeling, but once you get it done and it's like that accomplishing a goal, and it's just like, it's overwhelming. You can't explain it.
No. Now you got to find a new goal. What's
Yeah.
the next crazy thing you're gonna do? What's next? No, sorry.
What's
I won't
next?
make sense of that question. So,
No, we've already talked about it.
what is that?
Potentially a double heavy,
Got your mind.
which is. When have I ever been in my mind, Mike?
This is true.
Exactly.
Good point.
Yeah, so 2 24-hour events back to back.
I mean, it can't be much worse than team assessment.
Honestly, I think
That's
that's
what
kind of
team
the joke right
assessment
now.
was. Team assessment was 48 hours, so it was really two 24-hour events back to back. So it should be fine, no
Yep.
problem. Yeah, so.
I wouldn't go that far.
Just trying to help you
But
out.
yeah.
Just trying to get you in the right mindset. So, all
I
right,
got a
well,
while to
thanks.
decide on that. All right.
I will talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.